So hello everyone, I'm Bajra Devi and we'll get started. Just a little warning, there may be, I'm in the cabin and because it's not raining, I was going to be inside and I changed at the last minute. So if it starts raining, it may get a bit loud. So I might not record the meditation as I was planning to this morning, but we'll see how it goes. It's fine at the moment. So if it gets a bit loud, then it gives us a opportunity for sound objects. But just to let you know what they are, they don't always sound like they sound quite pleasant to me, but apparently they sound a little bit more menacing if you're hearing them through the screen. So I wanted to talk this morning about different types of feeling or feeling tone, and how different types of feeling tone connect with different objects, different sense objects. 6 different objects, in fact. So Vedana's feeling tone is one of those things that are called omnipresent, so present or constant, as Subhuti says, in every moment of experience. So in every moment of experience, there's a feeling tone which arises from a sense contact, from something that the heart mind notices, feels, or the body notices and feels. So there's potentially 6 different sense contacts in every moment because we have the 5 physical senses and the mind sense. But realistically, we're generally only aware of 1 or 2, and that's partly because a moment is very short, it's very quick, and awareness is generally slow or slower than that, unless mindfulness is really the awareness is really sort of quite quick and light, and then we can be aware of a lot of things in very quick succession. But I think it's also because of how we use our senses, or how the senses are available to us. So often when we're sitting in meditation, if we have our eyes closed, then that sense isn't available to us in the same way for sense contact. We're not looking at things, we're not seeing things. And also because smell and taste are often weaker senses, that they're not as dominant as hearing and seeing and the mind sense. But if you meditate in a place where you're using incense, or the candles have a smell, then that can be a sense object, though it can be so habitual that you don't necessarily notice it. So it's good to be aware of the possibilities, really, for all these sense contacts that we might otherwise just not notice. And if we don't notice, then we don't notice these different the feel of the moment, or the feeling tone in relation to the moment. So a lot of moments pass us by. Yeah, but we can tune into all these sense moments and the feeling tone that arises from that. And the feeling tone is conditioned by past sense contacts and feelings arising into it. So we can notice that as well, in a way, the conditioned aspect of the moment. So example, there might be sort of pleasure that arises from the eye contact if you're looking at a blue sky, or if you're looking at your pet or your partner. There are all sorts of moments when actually there's the general conditioning is towards one thing or another. Or what happens when there's an anxious feeling in the mind, or a pain in the body. There's likely to be some conditioning arising that's means that contact will be felt as unpleasant. So often, what happens is that one feeling tone in relation to one sense contact dominates in the moment. So it sort of crowds the others out. So we're not aware that there are potentially 3, 4, 5, 6 feeling tones arising very quickly. We can get a bit hooked into one or the other, whether it's pleasant or whether it's unpleasant doesn't really matter. But and we know that when we do that, then that hooking in, that prioritizing of the moment, a sort of gluing ourselves to it is when we've got hooked into craving or aversion. We've identified with a particular part of our experience. It's got sucked in, the mind has got sucked into that and excluded a number of other things that are going on. And that's part of how the mind works, but it's also part of the mechanism that causes us suffering, if you like, reinforces those patterns of craving and aversion. So what we've got a chance to do in the moment and in the meditation that's following this is to notice feeling in the body, in the mind, seeing, hearing, smelling, the mind sense, the mind thinking, and any sort of feeling tone that arises in relation to that. And you don't have to go looking hard for it. Just know it's like just opening yourself up to the possibility of how the mind is feeling, how the body is feeling. You can hook into or start to notice the feeling tone of when the mind is hooked into something. What's that feeling tone like? That sense of grasping. And this is Martine Batchelor, who sort of specializes in Vedana. She talks about how we amplify something in the moment. That's when we give it that priority. We amplify. It becomes sort of bigger and louder. When there's a grasping onto something. So what's the feeling tone of grasping? What's that like? And alternatively, what's the feeling tone of awareness? When the mind is aware, when the mind is knowing what's happening, in a soft way, a softness, there's a quickness, a lightness. How is the mind feeling? What's the feeling tone then? And then there are those moments where there's a whole sort of realm of neutrality, which I think I'll explore perhaps a little bit more in the meditation. But we're just opening up to feeling. Okay, so if you'd like to set up your posture, stop the recording.